ThoughtSpot. I welcome all who have joined in. I'm Vinita and I'll be the host for this session. We are excited to be here today with you, and we have a great line of speakers today who will be sharing their insights on how ThoughtSpot has disrupted the BI industry and redefining the landscape of the analytics world. We have today Roy, Group Director, Icon, based in Singapore, James Belzy, Director Solution Engineering at ThoughtSpot, who's joined us all the way from Australia. And we have Prasad, Head of Pre-Sales, Analytics Practice, Icon at Singapore. So before kickstarting, I have few housekeeping points to share. You will be muted throughout the session. You may have noticed that there is a Q&A tab functionality in the WebEx platform that we are using, and also a chat window. We encourage you to use those for your specific questions. We will be more than happy to answer those at the end of the webinar during the Q&A. We are recording this session for your benefit, and the recorded session will be shared with you later. Touching upon the agenda, so we will be starting with the Icon overview by Roy and the keynote address with James, followed by the demo of the solution by Prasad, and then we will head over to Q&A. I'm happy to now hand over to Roy, Group Director, Icon Group. Roy is very passionate about all things technology. He brings 20+ years of experience working extensively across the APAC market, advising clients on strategy, data analytics, and enterprise transformation initiatives. He has worked with clients across different multiple industry verticals with customers like DBS Bank, Hoya Group, Heineken, Panasonic, GovTech, and many government ministries in Singapore. He has been a co-leader at Icon, helping to mature its analytics practice. And with that, I hand it over to you, Roy.
Mr. Roy, you need to unmute.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much, Vinita, for such a nice intro. Really appreciate it. Okay. And thank you all the participants. Good morning, good afternoon. I'd like to thank you and welcome you on behalf of Icon, IRT, and ThoughtSpot for taking your time out and joining us for this particular seminar. I hope you'll get decent amount of value or enough value for spending this 1 hour with us. Okay. What I'll do, I will quickly introduce Icon, what we are, what we do, but I think most of you know us on that. Share some of our customers, what they are telling, who are our overall customers, and then why ThoughtSpot from my understanding of doing business analytics for last 20 years. One minute. Okay, so just quickly introducing Icon. If you look at, we are a 20 years old company. Actually, 6th of December last year was our 20 years anniversary. We are headquartered in Singapore, started in Singapore, and then started our operation in India. The numbers which are interesting for you will be like, we have 300 plus customers. We have done 1,000 plus successful projects. And around 250, I think will be a little more now, around 260, 270 professionals who are working with us to provide consulting and implementation services to all our customers. Okay, so if you look at, these are our various awards. And I'm very proud to show you that we are the ThoughtSpot Partner of the Year for 2020. It's just been concluded, and this has been announced in early part of January when ThoughtSpot had their partner event. Okay, these are some of our very important customers, and if you look at typically we have the CEO of DBS, who is telling Icon has helped them to execute their strategy very effectively in the areas of business analytics. There are the director IT from Adidas. There are a CIO from Max Healthcare, the head of IT from Crescendas. There's a manager planning and IT from SAESL and Meritus Hotels and Resorts Group. So these are the kind of comments which they have made. Okay. So these are overall the customers what we have, a partial list of customers based in Singapore and around. So these customers are primarily based in Singapore, some of them in Middle East, some of them also in Hong Kong, Macau, Thailand, Malaysia. We operate in that area. We implement and provide consulting services in this area. This slides is for our very marquee and great customers from India. And if you look at, when you look at both these slides, you will understand that the solution what we provide is across the vertical. Okay, so we have one side, we have pharma, we have automotive, we have BFSI, insurance, and the next slides you can see public sector. We have a large number of public sector in Singapore. We have a large number of higher learning institutions where we have implemented business analytics, data management, enterprise performance management solution very successfully for our customers. Okay, if you look at, as we mentioned, we are around 260, 270 people company. We are not a large SI. We are more a boutique firm. So that means we don't do anything and everything in IT. We only focus on these two pillars, which is business analytics and enterprise performance management. But we provide you best quality consulting and implementation services in these two areas. And we also, depending on your current landscape, on reporting, on data management, on BI, we also guide our customer what will be the right technology to implement and how to implement. Because if you look at in all these solutions, there is a maturity curve, and you need to be careful what you are implementing. You need to start from maturity level, a certain level, and then slowly move up into the value chain. So we do business intelligence, visualization to get tremendous value out of your data. And we also provide a lot of advanced analytics services to our customer. Primarily customers who are matured on BI, they are now looking at how can I do prediction, how can I do create some forecasting based on various statistical models. So we help them to do that. And information management is basically the heart, where if you look at all these solutions will not work if your data is not being managed, clean, and kept effectively. So the information management piece is where we help our customer to extract data from various data sources, because typically most of the organization will have multiple data sources, maybe ERP, accounting system. If there is nothing else, then there will be some Excel files. So we help them to extract all that data, keep it in a single place so that all those data can connect to each other and can talk to each other, and then provide either advanced analytics or BI or visualization or analytics on top of that, so that they get a single version of truth for the entire organization and make decision based on that information which they are receiving. The other pillar is more on enterprise performance management, where we help our customers to do integrated business planning. Planning starts from finance, HR, IT, operation, sales. So typically SNOP, FP&A. Nowadays, people are talking about XP&A, which is extended planning and analytics. So that is one area. Large organization need to do financial consolidation for statutory reporting. We help them to do that, and so that they can do the reporting to the statutory board and to the management. So it takes care of monetary interest, intercompany elimination. So it's a full-fledged solution which is provided. And then I think every organization do a financial closing every month. So we help them to also do the monthly closing, account reconciliation, bank reconciliation, transaction reconciliation, and then effectively close the month. We automate that entire process so that there is anywhere between 60 to 80% efficiency gain on every month end when the finance people works for weeks just to do reconciliation and closing. And most of these solutions are well powered by AI, machine learning, and NLP, natural language processing. Okay, this is our slide for strategic alliances. So if you look at, we are a partner to IBM, Microsoft, Click, and we were providing various BI solution to our customers. But what we realize, if you look at the reason we become a partner to ThoughtSpot, okay, because what we realize, all these tools which we are talking about are great tools, okay, but with time, the requirement of the customers or requirement of the users has changed quite a bit. These tools are still very much prevalent, and they can continue to do your standard maybe dashboarding, operational reporting. But if you look at today, there is a large number of knowledge users, which was not there 5 years back or maybe 7 years back. This term was not there. But today, there are a large number of knowledge workers who are quite IT savvy. They understand their data, and they want independence so that they can do self-service, they can analyze their data, and they don't need to be dependent on data scientists, data stewards, or business analysts to get their reports and the question which they are asking, the answer to that. They don't want to wait. So it's typically, if you look at all these standard BI tools, okay, great tools, but there you need to define at the beginning what are the question you want to ask, what are the KPI you want to monitor. But today's generation, or today's, if you look at knowledge workers are telling, no, I want to ask on the fly, and I want a tool which can give me the answers on the fly. So it's something like, I want something like a Google for my enterprise data with all necessary security, governance, compliance be on place. But I should have the freedom. I should not be restricted that every time I have a new question, I need to go back to one of the business analysts or my IT team and tell them, okay, can you add this report into my dashboard? And then they can take anything between 3 days to maybe 3 weeks to add that. Point one. Second is also the freedom for the knowledge workers, okay? And it should be unlimited knowledge workers. Everybody should be allowed to look at the enterprise data and make that decision and be absolutely sure that he or she is making a decision based on data available. And second is the volume of data. I think all of you will agree in last few years or in last 5 years, the amount of data we are generating or the amount of data is available for us to analyze and make decisions for revenue growth, for efficiency optimization is enormous. But we need to look at that data at a very, very granular level. So instead of having few millions of records, now we are talking about, it's very easily there are 300 million records, 500 million records, few terabytes of data instead of few GBs of data. So we need a platform which can handle that kind of data very effectively. And when we looked at ThoughtSpot, what we realized that this is the platform which is, I think, answer all these questions very effectively, or these challenges manage very effectively, point one. Second, another thing what we realize, when you are creating a BI tool, or if you are doing self-service also, you will only ask those questions what you know. But can there be an option where I throw my data into the tool and the tool is intelligent enough to start showing me a lot of insights from that data? And then I can choose which are relevant to me and which are not relevant. Relevant to me means I may not have asked that question, but now I have that answer. I know this is relevant. And then tool will start learning from there And next time when I throw more data into that, it will start giving me answer on the similar area along with the others. And we saw, so what I don't know, that problem can be solved quite an extent by ThoughtSpot. So considering these three major areas, we felt this is a game changer for our customers. And we are not looking at it as a tool which is going to replace your existing BI tool. It's the approach is to do a complementary approach, and then slowly, if you feel yes, now I'm absolutely comfortable and this is giving me all, then maybe we can look at a replacement approach at a later date. Okay. And there's a third thing which you may have heard. This has been told by so many market analysts and everything: democratization of data, so that data is the fuel, is the currency, but everybody not have access to that. Okay, effectively. ThoughtSpot is that tool which provide that access. So I will leave it here. How they provide that access, I think I'll leave it to James and Prasad to take you forward from there. So typically, this is what we are bringing in for our customers. We and ThoughtSpot, we form a team, and we are ready to talk to you and understand what are the challenges you're facing, or the small gaps which you have in your BI landscape, and how we can fill it up. Okay. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today. And this is where I will end my presentation.
Moving on, it's our pleasure to have with us today James, Director Solutions Engineering APJ at ThoughtSpot. James will be giving us the keynote address. A little bit about James here is James has a passion for data, and he's worked in the BI and analytics space for over 20 years with enterprises such as Gillette, Hilton Hotels, and the UK Defence Forces, before moving across to the vendor side with Business Objects back in 2001. James moved from the UK to Australia in 2006 and has worked with some of the leading firms in the region on their BI deployments, including NAB, ANZ Bank, and Telstra, among many others. In 2010, he joined Click as the fourth employee in region and helped grow the business to over 1,000 customers and over 100 employees. In 2018, he moved over to ThoughtSpot as the first employee in Australia. He has seen the entire evolution of BI and analytics over time and is excited by the capabilities that ThoughtSpot offers to truly enable self-service analytics, which Roy was talking about, for the business users. He will be sharing in his keynote today, highlighting the limitations of traditional BI tools and how ThoughtSpot has taken the lead forward. So over to you, James.
Cool, thanks Vinita, and thanks Roy for both of those great introductions. So my name's James. I look after the solutions engineering part of ThoughtSpot for Asia Pacific and Japan. I'm based in Melbourne in Australia. And yeah, as Vinita just said, I've kind of been in the industry for a long time, possibly even longer than Icon's been around. So, Roy just shared there that, they were founded in December 1999. I think I probably started doing this stuff in probably about 1995 or 1996. It's a little bit hazy now. It's too long ago, really, for me to remember. And I prefer not to think about it because people describe me as an industry veteran now, which is kind of a backhanded compliment. It's like nice that I've been around and I know what I'm doing, but it's also like you're getting old now. So what I wanted to do today was give you a bit of an overview of ThoughtSpot, how ThoughtSpot is different to what you might be used to in terms of BI and analytics, those reporting tools, those dashboarding tools that maybe you're very familiar with, and how ThoughtSpot is just a little bit different. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the company, but there are a few things that are useful to share here. And I think one of the key things is that ThoughtSpot is founded around search and AI-driven insights. And what that means is the people who actually founded the company came from Google. They came from places like Amazon, who work with massive volumes of data and work on these big problems. And they saw this issue that it was very difficult for business users to get answers to the questions that they have about data themselves. They have to go to someone else to answer those questions. And what if we could make it as easy to answer your questions about data as it is to search Google and get answers that way? And that was really the premise of the company. We've got a lot of customers globally. You can see some of our top customers globally on this list here. Here in region, DBS, National Australia Bank, Suncorp here in Australia as well, among many others across the region. So, we've got a very strong customer base around the world, and we're growing very rapidly. There are some statistics here around our funding. It's a little bit out of date now. I think that the latest funding now, we're over a $2 billion valuation as a company. So that's just a little bit about the history of the company, where we've come from. But what about the history of business intelligence? Like I said, I've kind of been doing this since the 1990s. I initially started my business intelligence before it was called business intelligence. It was just reporting then. So building access databases and reporting stuff on top of that before business objects came along. So as Vinita mentioned, I joined business objects in the UK in 2001. And had a great time with them. And we used to talk about self-service, but at that point it was really self-service for IT, self-service for people who would happily go on 2 or 3 week training courses and then sit down and do this on a day-to-day basis. So business objects was a great capability, but then we started to see the rise of more the dashboarding and visualization tools with the likes of Click and Tableau and Looker that we see here. I joined Click as the 4th employee for Australia back in 2010, and again that was a great time, getting out and talking about what these new capabilities could do with much bigger volumes of data than we were working with before. The way I think about Click is, it made it much more simple for analysts within the business to get answers to the questions. So it kind of moved from being that very much IT focused to being more business focused, but with analysts. Again, people who are quite happy to go on training courses, the people who are probably building those amazing Excel spreadsheets that you have within the organization right now, taking those people and making it possible for them to do even more, which again was great. It really expanded this capability, and we saw the amount of usage of business intelligence growing from like 10% within an organization to being towards 30% through this phase. But it's still only 30% of people within the organization that can get access to data and answer their own questions. As we moved through this process as well, it was about decreasing time. So, back when I started at Business Objects, we used to talk about it taking 30 days to get an answer to a question about data. And that's reduced dramatically now, and I'll talk some more about that in just a minute. But right now, people want instant answers to their questions. And that's really what ThoughtSpot's all about. It's about making it possible for anyone to answer their questions on any volume of data instantly and get that immediate satisfaction. So what's the problem with dashboards? What's the problem with reports? Well, the problem is that you can't answer new questions. So the problem with the dashboard is it is built by someone to answer a specific set of questions, which is great. I can see what my spending is by region. I can see what the demographics are. I can see the products. But any good dashboard should just raise more questions. So you should look at it and you should say, well, why is that? Why is that number the way it is? Because if it's just telling you the number and you're not going to do anything with it, then there's really no value in the dashboard itself. So it should just raise more questions, like why is the credit card spending up in the South this year? Or which customers have savings accounts but no mortgages? Or what's the credit rating scores for our top mortgage candidates? And all of these things should probably be happening to you as you're looking at the dashboard. And if you can't answer those questions that are arising because you're looking at the data, then the dashboards are fundamentally not helping you. And the reason behind that is because you know, there are not enough people to answer these questions on your behalf. Globally speaking, there are around 1.2 billion humans at work right now, but only around 1.5 million data experts. And I'm not particularly good at maths, but this is about 1,000 to 1 ratio here. So, you know, there's 1,000 people on the right-hand side for every one person on the left-hand side here. And it's because of that that you end up in this situation where it takes 4.8 days to get an answer to a question or build a report or a dashboard or a visualization. And it's not because those tools, the Tableaus, the Power BIs, the Clicks, whatever, takes 4.8 days. Of course it doesn't. It might only take half an hour or 20 minutes to build the report. But it's because there are so many more questions than there are people that can answer those questions. And you end up in this never-ending loop. And this is what the business users get frustrated with. You know, they say, hey, look, I really need a report that tells me how many customers I have in Singapore that are on this plan, have this handset right now, and, you know, downloaded more than 1 gigabyte of data in the last 4 weeks, right? Simple question, but there's not going to be an existing report to answer that. So they have to go to the data expert to do it. And that could take, well, on average, 4.8 days to get an answer back. And they go, wow, that's awesome. Now can you show it to me broken down by region? And then you end up in this never-ending cycle. And the interesting thing here is that clearly the business are frustrated by that, but also the analysts are frustrated because this is not exciting stuff. These are not difficult questions to answer. The analysts would much rather be interested in spending their time working on much more interesting business problems than creating a simple report. So nobody's happy in this equation. And this is what ThoughtSpot aims to solve. So the problem right now is that the back end for all of this stuff is way too complex. You've got your enterprise data sources. You may already have all of that in a data warehouse, which is great. But then you typically have to build more stuff on top of it before you can make it available to the users. You have to build cubes or tabular models, and then you have to host them somewhere, and that's expensive, and there's more hardware for that. And then you've got your reporting server and your dashboards and your BI team who are building those things before it gets sent out to the actual business themselves. So with ThoughtSpot, it's all about taking away some of these layers, but maintaining that governance and security and everything else it should be in place as well. So with ThoughtSpot, we can get the data directly from the data warehouse straight into the hands of the business people at its granular level with that search-like performance. And the thing about this as well is this is this is a problem that is not growing smaller. It's a problem that is growing larger and larger over time. There's more and more data available. There's more and more sources for data. There's more and more places where that data exists, whether it's in the cloud or on premise or in your databases or, you know, Excel files or whatever else that people want to bring in. And people need answers to those questions now. They don't want to wait for it. They can't wait for it because they need to make business decisions on it. They need access to this information right now in order to be able to, you know, make the business better and make good business decisions. So what if we could make this really simple? What if we could make this as easy as your favorite app? Whether that's Google, where, you know, the simplicity of just having a single search bar on the screen. There was search before Google, right? You know, it was Yahoo, Lycos, Alta Vista. I'm old enough to remember those things. You know, they did search, but they did it in a different way. It wasn't simple. It was about building your search portals and your homepage. And, you know, the search would give you a massive list of results, which you then have to filter through yourself to find what you were interested in. Google made it so much more simple. You have the search bar, but then the results, you would typically find what you were looking for in the top 3 or 4 things. Just made it that much more simple for users. With YouTube, it's about being smart. So yes, you can go in and you can watch a video, but then it will recommend things that you might be interested in. Here's some other things that you might want to watch. With Uber, it's about, you know, that ability to get instant access. I need a car right now. Okay, one's going to be with me in 1 minute. It's you know, that speed of access as well. So what if we could take that and apply that to your corporate data? So this is what makes ThoughtSpot different. It's about being simple. It's about having this Google-like search for your data, which makes it easy for anyone in the business to get access and answer their questions about the data. It's about it being smart. So, this is both in terms of machine learning that happens within the platform. So, oops, clicked forward by accident. So in terms of machine learning, this is about making suggestions. So like when you go into Google, you type your search in, or at least you think you type your search in, but you probably only type half of it. And then Google reads your mind and puts the rest in automatically. And it's the same idea with ThoughtSpot. So as you're typing in ThoughtSpot, as you're searching, it will make suggestions based on what other people have searched for in your organization or what other people might be interested in. And then it's also about the smarts in terms of automating the discovery of information. So what if you don't know what you want to look for? What if you don't know what's happening in the organization? Well, ThoughtSpot can look through the data and say, here's some things that might be of interest to you based on AI and machine learning capabilities. And it's about this being fast. Performance at enterprise scale. Our largest customers globally run ThoughtSpot on over 100 billion rows of data. So like Hulu in the US, they've got, I think, around 250 billion rows of data that they search with ThoughtSpot and get search-like results. So it's all well and good saying, hey, we can query 250 billion rows, but if it takes 2 days for that answer to come back, that's not particularly useful. So we're talking about getting answers in seconds on this at that scale. But how does it work? So, Prasad is going to give us a full demonstration in just a minute, but just to kind of give you a quick look here, it's just this ability to search, a search bar, show me number of customers by product for California. And all of these visualizations you're seeing here on the screen are being generated on the fly, purely based on my search. I can drill down into anything, and I can add to my search as well. So I've drilled down and now I'm looking for customers that have no mortgage loan in a particular area and getting answers to this instantly on any volume of data. So nothing is pre-built here, nothing is predefined, everything is being calculated on the fly and generated on the fly. And then when we look at the AI side of things, this is this ability for ThoughtSpot to find insights within the data. Here it's found an insight for a lower monthly balance for a particular customer. I can ask it to compare things and say, what's changed between these two periods? And it will investigate that for me and say that here looks like the east is up the most in this case. So it'll do this analysis for me. And I can provide feedback to the model as well to ensure that the results get better over time and more people get value out of the insights. And it's from a ThoughtSpot perspective, we work with complexity in the data as well. So this is not about taking all of your data and making it really simple and flattening it out into a super simple model or building cubes on this with everything pre-aggregated. It's not about that at all. It's about taking the data in the way it exists right now in an analytical data model and then making it possible to search across that data. We deal with things like chasm traps, fan traps in the database. We can deal with multiple fact tables with conformed dimensions without having to flatten everything out. And we can do this where the data exists. So if you've got it in Snowflake or Redshift, if you've migrated to a cloud data warehouse, we can connect to it right there. Or if you haven't got that far yet, we can connect to the data where it exists right now. So whether it's on-premise in an Oracle database or SQL Server, or if it's just in text files or Teradata or wherever, we can bring this together and give answers to complex questions. So this example at the top here, growth of spend in Texas versus California for my top 10 products containing Nike in 2019. This is really complex from an SQL perspective, but very easy to express in terms of natural language. With ThoughtSpot, you can answer these complex questions, which will derive very complex queries behind the scenes, but still ask it in a very natural way. So there are a number of example use cases, customer 360, product 360, supplier 360. The ability to really get down to granular level data is what it's all about. Working with all of the data in your organization. So the ability to look at individual customers, move away from averages, look at an individual customer and see exactly what they're doing. From a product perspective, we have customers like Walmart in the US who do SKU level markdowns on a store basis, which it was just impossible before they had ThoughtSpot, just due to the massive volume of data that they have there. or supplier 360, the ability, particularly in COVID times, to look at our suppliers, look at our supply chain, work out where there are issues, and reduce risk and improve the quality assurance. And we've got some of our customers there that use these use cases. So how do we do this stuff? How do we engage with you as a customer to deliver value with this? Well, it's all about combining the business and the technical. We want to understand the business problems that you're trying to solve. We want to understand the questions that you want to ask of the data, and we'll typically identify a use case through that for ThoughtSpot, run a few workshops to understand this in more detail and whether it will provide value for you. And then we'll prove it from a technical perspective. We'll show that we can bring this data in. We'll show that we can deliver answers to questions for your business based on this. And then we'll have a review at the end. So that's all I wanted to cover today. There'll be an opportunity for Q&A at the end. But what I'd like to do now is hand over to Prasad to give you a look at the platform in a demo.
Thank you, James. That was really insightful. Let me share my screen. So, challenge with the current generation of BI tool, which we have just seen, is they are really good in answering questions, but they can only answer those questions which we had identified earlier in the past. But the moment you have next question, they really struggle. So let's take this scenario. Suppose right now it's 9:30 a.m. and you have received this email from your CEO. And he's typically interested in getting answers to some of the insights, because in half an hour, he's going to present those in one of the important meetings. What are these queries? First, this year, how is the performance of this medical product category with respect to other categories? Second, comparison of overall sales for East and West region, but this time only for last 6 months. Third, who are our top 10 customers for last year? Fourth, Sean, our marketing head, must have told him that VidaSource antibiotics are doing really well this year. So he wants to understand which territories or which states are driving this demand. And last, for such a leading state, end consumers belong to which age group? So let's see how ThoughtSpot can help us to get answers to these queries. I hope my screen is still visible. And first thing which you notice on the screen is this unique search bar. So let's dig into it. So first thing is we want to analyze performance, that is sales, for a medical product category. So before even I start typing it, the machine learning or the system is intelligent enough to tell me what I might ask based on maybe what my other colleagues are asking or based on my previous interaction. So machine learning part starts recommending me content before even I start typing. So first thing here is sales. Let me select that. Then I want to, okay, let's see what ThoughtSpot is showing us. So I got a high level figure. What is my overall sales? However, I want to limit my attention to only this year. I will type this year. If you notice, this filter got applied, and now we are focusing our attention to only current year data. Let me highlight this point. In my data set, I don't have any columns such as year, month, or quarter. Neither I had created them in this ThoughtSpot, or neither I have calculated them. However, the system is intelligent enough to understand your data. It treats date field in such a unique way that when I say this year, this month, or last year, last month, it applies the right filter on that same transactional date field, and I get my relevant data. Now I want to see this by category. So I will type category. Now immediately ThoughtSpot has created this visualizations for me. And I said created. This is not pre-created or created in the past and now just displayed. No. ThoughtSpot understood what I want. It captured that data, and based on my query, it understood that I want to do comparison between different categories. And that's why this bar chart got plotted. If I click on this info icon and go to query visualizer, you can see when we type this search, ThoughtSpot understood that our total sales is coming from fact table. Then it applied some filter on timestamp field to give us relevant data for this specific year. And then it also applied filter, or it also provided drill down capability on this category, which is coming from dimension product. So that's all. This is something which has happened under the hood, but within second. So you don't ever aware about it. Can you customize it? Yes. Let's say I want to see the value. I will simply click on show data type, show data labels. Can I change the chart type? Yes. I just need to select the chart which I want, and immediately the visualization gets updated. And once you are satisfied that you have received answer for your query, then you can pin to a pin board, and that's how the pin board gets created. Okay. Our next question is related to comparison of East versus West sales for last 6 months. So I will just simply remove this category and this year, and I will type here East versus West. Last 6 months. ThoughtSpot is intelligent enough to understand your question and give you the answer. However, sometimes it might happen that in your data, there might be multiple fields. For example, right now this East versus West is shown with yellow color, and ThoughtSpot is highlighting you that there might be ambiguity. And if you want, you can change that. So right now, for when I say East versus West, it has selected store region. However, if I want to change that to customer region, I can do that. However, my intention was still to use store region only. So I will not do any change. Rather, I will say confirm. So that next time when I ask this same question, ThoughtSpot is very sure that I am only interested in this particular state or this particular customer state or store state. Here we can see sales for West, sales for East. We can also see their comparison with respect to each other. This is exactly what I wanted. So I will pin it to my pin board. My next question is, who are our top 10 customers for last year? Let me remove all this and start fresh. So I want to see customer names. I want to see sales for these customers, and I want to see top 10. And I want to see it for last year. Yeah. And we have our answer in front of our eyes. One important point which I wanted to highlight here is, here sequence doesn't matter. I can remove this customer name from here and type it here again. And still ThoughtSpot can understand what I want and give me the same visualization, the right answer. So from this can be a small thing for some of the technical people, but for most of our end users who don't want to worry or bothered about those technical complexities or specific syntax which they need to be followed, this is life-saving for them. Now they just ask question and ThoughtSpot will take care of everything and will provide them the answer. And unlike Google, when you do Google, you can get 10 different answers. But when you ask question to ThoughtSpot, ThoughtSpot will not say you that your revenue can be X, Y, and Z. No, it will give you only one answer and the right answer. I will pin this again to my pin board. And our next question is, we want to analyze which states are driving demand for Vidasource antibiotic. So again, let me type sales for Vidasource. Okay. If you notice, the moment I type V, ThoughtSpot starts recommending me something. And this is not based on alphabetics. Okay. Rather, it is purely on machine learning and my previous interaction with ThoughtSpot. Maybe last time I had checked sales versus margin, or I had tried out Vidasource antibiotic during my practice session. That's why it is coming first. And value mart is coming in the last. Okay. So it is not based on alphanumerics. It is based on your previous history and machine learning. So I will select Vidasource antibiotics for this year. And we want to see it by state. And since we had selected or searched for state, ThoughtSpot understood that for this kind of question, the answer can be visualized in a map or a heat map. And that's why it identified the right chart for you and provided that to you. And in one glance, I can see that California is driving the highest demand this year for this specific product. I can zoom in, I can pin it to my pinboard because I got the right answer. And our last part is, for such a leading state, customers belong to which age group? So I can again use search, or here this time I will simply make use of drill down capability. So you might ask, what's so unique about drill down? There are many tools in the market which provides this drill down capability. But here in ThoughtSpot, basically you can jump from any dimension to any other dimension using drill down. In most of the other BI tools, you need to predefine this drill down hierarchy. Whereas here, as long as those fields are present, you can directly change to that. Again, the search index, which is recommending me this sequence, that also depends on your previous history. So I want to select age group. That's why maybe previously I had searched this. So that's why we are coming it at the top. I'm selecting age group. And we have got the answer. This specific age group from this particular state is driving demand for beta source antibiotic. I will pin it to my pinboard. I have got all the answers. So within last 5 minutes, we started with the blank canvas. We just got an email with a list of queries. We searched for them. We found the right answers. And now we have all those answers readily available with us. Since I had pinned them to a pinboard, I can simply share it with my other colleagues. So I can share that with my CEO. I can provide him rights whether he can only view or can edit it and share. And with this, he will get a notification via email that Prasad has shared something with you. And the moment he opens it, he will find all the answers. Not only that, if he has any new question, he don't need to share that query with me. Next time he can himself go to search, type it and get the answer. So this is the kind of ease of use which we want to provide to our end users so that they don't worry about complexities and rather focus their time in analyzing their data and finding insights based on which they can make more informed decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Prasad, for walking us through the key functionalities of ThoughtSpot platform. And I hope we were able to do justice to the audience and showing that how ThoughtSpot is a pioneer in bringing search analytics concept, and they truly believe in the empowerment of business users. That brings us to the last segment of the webinar, and we are open for question and answers. I can see a couple of them in the Q&A box, and this first one, probably Prasad, while you were doing the demo, I saw this question that, is it able to actually deal with natural language, like directly asking questions, who are my top 10 customers last year?
Yes, absolutely. So ThoughtSpot comes with two different flavors. Whatever I have just shown you is the relational search, which is more like a keyword-based search. Let's say I want to find out temperature in Mumbai for today. So I will not ask Google, show me temperature for Mumbai. I will just type Mumbai temperature and I will get the answer. So that is the kind of ease of use which relational search provides to you. But the natural language capability is also there. It's in beta stage, but you can ask questions, show me my top customers for last year, and still ThoughtSpot will give you the answer. Okay,
all right. Thanks, Prasad. There's another one. This is for on data governance. Given that ThoughtSpot gives broad access to business users, how well is the data governance taken care of in the platform? Sorry about that. Maybe James, you covered briefly that in your presentation. Would you like to take this question?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, the whole data democratization is an interesting one because, you know, a lot of people want to make data available, but equally they're worried about it. You know, will data get into the wrong hands? So within ThoughtSpot, the whole data governance piece is incredibly important. And that flows right through the platform. So security is paramount. When you share things, you only share what people have access to. So you can define the rules within the data from a row-level security perspective. So if I only had access to Singapore data rather than having access to global data, it doesn't matter if someone who has access to the whole data shares it with me, I will still only see Singapore data. Equally, you can do column level security such that, you know, if I shouldn't be able to see salary details, I can have that removed automatically. So within the platform, there are lots of areas where security is enforced, and in fact it's much more simple than in other platforms because you define it once centrally at the table level. So when you're connecting to the data, you define the security at the table level, and then anything else that is built on top of it is inherits that security. So you can build whatever you want, anyone can build any dashboard, anyone can build any answer, you can share it with anyone else, and security will always be enforced.
Okay, thanks. There's another one which says, does the data need to be cleansed beforehand? Standardized data or by time fields, missing or null values, etc., and then loaded into ThoughtSpot?
Sure, I can take that one as well. So, you know, the answer is it doesn't have to be. And sometimes actually surfacing those data quality issues can be much more useful for users than trying to make the data perfect before you load it. Because it helps people understand where there are issues with it within the data. And the only way you really get ownership of data quality is to highlight where the issues are and have people own them to fix them going forward. So yes, you don't have to have a perfect data set to make it work with ThoughtSpot. If the data is perfect, then that's even better, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay, thank you. Another one is on deployment. Maybe Roy, you would want to answer this. What are the different deployment options the platform offers?
We have both. So the licenses are based on subscription. We have both cloud and on-prem deployment options. Okay, but if you look at the democratization of data, I mentioned that people are talking about it for quite some time, but all the BI products, they license their product based on number of users. So that means more users you want to onboard into your BI platform, you need to pay more. So it's kind of a contradiction of what they are telling they believe and what they are actually doing. So, but ThoughtSpot philosophy is completely different, and I think this is the first time they have broken that barrier. So they are telling it's the users, there can be unlimited users who can access ThoughtSpot. There is no cost, there is no user license concept in ThoughtSpot implementation. It's based on data volume. Okay. Now, as mentioned by James, one is you can load the data into ThoughtSpot in-memory engine. Another one is there are some Embrace cloud data warehouse like Snowflake, like Synapse, where you actually don't need to move your data. ThoughtSpot you can define which data ThoughtSpot should access. So based on the data volume, there is a charge which is yearly being paid, and deployment, it supports all the standard cloud platform. You can do your own internal implementation, like for some of the banks, we are doing it in their data center, or it can be on your private cloud. So all the options are available.
Okay. And another one leading into it is, are there desktop versions of ThoughtSpot we can install, or is it strictly server-based only?
It's completely web-based.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, there's another one which has come on voice inputs filtering. Can it take voice inputs for filtering searches? Does it have a mobile application?
Yes, answer to your query is yes, we can take input as from a voice, and also we have a mobile based application.
Okay, great. Prasad, maybe this one is for you. If my data size increases by say 10%, and if I do not have enough bandwidth in existing mode, do I have to purchase another node with full capacity to accommodate the 10% increase? Maybe open to all, whoever wants to answer this.
If you look at, this is more of a commercial part. So we need to understand what is your data volume today, and what is the typical data increment by year, and we can work out a contract based on that. And whatever my experience is working with ThoughtSpot, they understand customer need very well, and they provide customer a win-win contract.
Okay, thanks, Roy. There's one question on pricing model. What is the pricing model given the fact it has unlimited users?
So it's basically based on data volume. How much data you are loading inside ThoughtSpot.
Okay. Those are the questions that I see. Is there, okay. Okay, a bit of a technical question here. How detailed can the search question be? For example, is it possible to say, of the customer who deal in X and Y products, how many of them are present in less than 2 locations with more than 100K revenue?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, this is more of an analyst type question, but I guess this is where ThoughtSpot is about making it possible for everyone to get answers to their questions. So yeah, so you can absolutely do that type of thing. You can do subqueries in ThoughtSpot. We have in as a keyword, so you can say customers in and then do another subquery to get, the customers who have this products. And then you can do another subquery on that to say, who are in more than 2 locations and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can answer fairly complex questions with ThoughtSpot in a pretty simple way.
Wonderful. Another one on, can the system directly access from core systems, or do we need to have a data lake for the ThoughtSpot to work?
Let me answer that. So if you look at, as mentioned, core system means if you're asking, can you have your data in SAP ECC6, and can I work on that? It will not be possible. But if you have data in SAP HANA, I think ThoughtSpot HANA is an embrace product for ThoughtSpot, so we can actually access data from HANA. You don't need to load the data into ThoughtSpot. So there are few cloud data warehouse like Snowflake, Synapse, Redshift, and few more, where you don't need to move your data. We can directly connect ThoughtSpot. Your data will remain there. You run or you ask your question into ThoughtSpot. ThoughtSpot will go find the data and give you answer in less than few seconds.
Okay. And
if your data is in some traditional ERPs and all that, then that data needs to move and load into ThoughtSpot in-memory database. The reason being, if you look at ThoughtSpot can handle terabytes of data. Okay, I think the largest implementation we are talking about 36, 37 terabytes of data being loaded into ThoughtSpot. But still the answers are below 6 seconds at any point of time. To do that, you need a very, very efficient in-memory data management capability. So that's why you need to load the data into ThoughtSpot.
Next one is, can ThoughtSpot be hosted locally on-premise server?
Yes.
Can be.
Can be hosted locally.
Yeah. Next on data again, how the data size gets calculated? Is it all source data size or just report data?
Let me answer this question. Your source might have hundreds of different tables, but for ThoughtSpot, the volume of data which you are actually going to load into ThoughtSpot engine, based on that, we will calculate it. You might not need your 100% of data.
We still have a minute to go. Maybe if you have any more queries. Okay, I can say, yeah. If my data is spread across multiple systems, do we need ETL services?
So ThoughtSpot now has a capability built in called data flow, which allows it doesn't really have that It doesn't have the transform capability of ETL, but it does have the extract and load capabilities, and you can do some minor transformations with it. So with that, you can get the data from a variety of different places and bring it directly into ThoughtSpot without any additional licenses.
Next one talks about AI functionality. Can ThoughtSpot AI identify potential abnormalities or insights in the data without me asking the question?
Yeah. So Thought IQ is the tool. That is what we mentioned. Like typically on a traditional BI, if you look at, you ask those questions, what you know. In ThoughtSpot, you throw the data inside ThoughtSpot, and ThoughtSpot will show you various scenario or various insights based on that data. And some of those insights will be you have never thought of. And then you can start, and it will learn from your, which are the insights making sense to you and which are not. And next time it will go more deeper and show you more insights. So you don't need to ask any question. You can ask Spot IQ that show me the inside of this set of data which I have loaded, and it will do so.
Okay. Okay, good. We have 2-3 more. Can ThoughtSpot help to compare current year versus last year to provide insights on what went wrong?
Yes, absolutely. During today's demonstration, we had asked similar question where we compare East versus West. So similarly, we can compare this year versus last year, and ThoughtSpot will show you the comparison, and Spot IQ engine will parallelly might show you some additional insight that why that difference is there. So yes.
Okay. And we have a question on data security. Can you please provide more information on the data security?
Sure. So, I mean, it may be something that we want to go into offline and get into some more specifics on it. But, you know, ThoughtSpot provides row-level security, column-level security, and that flows through even to things like the search suggestions. So as an example with that, if I had access to Singapore data, but not Australia data, I should only be able to search for customers that exist within Singapore and the names of customers that exist within Singapore, and not the names of customers that live within Australia. And all of that is handled by the security engine within ThoughtSpot, so that the data is incredibly secure, both from that perspective and in terms of, you know, data at rest and in transit as well.
Yeah, just to add here, if you look at the largest bank in India and Australia are using ThoughtSpot, okay, apart from other BI tools which they are using. So the data has to be really, really secured before a bank, because, you know, the regulators are very, very careful today, what tool you are using, what tool the banks are using. So your data is absolutely secure, not only the data. So let's say when you are, if you look at when you are searching in ThoughtSpot search bar, it will give you various suggestions. Okay, so let's say when you are, so let's say we have data for India, Singapore, and Australia, but I have access only to Singapore. So when I search, during the search also, it will not show me India and Australia. It will only show me Australia as a suggestion. So the security get applied up to that level.
Okay. Next one, maybe Roy, you can take this. The data size may keep changing day by day, so the pricing will change accordingly. Will the pricing change accordingly?
Okay, if the data size, so that is what I mentioned. Okay, so let's say we need to look at what is your current data volume and what is the growth potential of that data volume, and accordingly we can come out with a contract. So typically I have seen where ThoughtSpot is very, very, I'll say, flexible to understand customer situation. Sometimes if you look at the way data has grown in last maybe 10 years, past 5 years, the growth was only 10-15%, and last few years data is growing tremendously. So it's not possible for the customer also to clearly give a projection that this is how the data will grow. So there are some flexibility built into the system, that maybe a quarterly review how your data is growing, and then accordingly maybe adjust the price point of ThoughtSpot. Okay, so there are a lot of flexibility and mechanism available there to ensure that your data, the data you need inside ThoughtSpot is available to you at a reasonable cost.
Okay. Next one is on data loading. When we load the data to ThoughtSpot, should we need to structure it, or we can just export from our core system like SAP and load it?
Yeah, so you wouldn't just directly load data. You know, ThoughtSpot, I mean, you can do it, ThoughtSpot could handle it, but from an analytical perspective, it wouldn't provide a good user experience. So you would typically, you know, do some data modeling work to build a star schema or a snowflake schema, an analytical data model on top of that to make it work well and to provide a good search experience for the users. And that's absolutely the type of activity that, you know, partners like our good friends at Icon can really help with as well. That's, you know, if you need assistance with that.
Yeah, sure. Can ThoughtSpot be integrated with voice assistant solution like Alexa?
So not out of the box, no, but we do have APIs that could make that possible if that's something people want to do.
Okay. This is leading in from your answer, James, on data modeling. Do we require ETL developer for data modeling?
So no, typically not. I mean, it depends what state the data is in right now. But we do have that very simple capability for data flow to bring data from where it exists into ThoughtSpot. If it's not in an analytical data model right now, and depending on the complexity of the data, you may need some data modeling assistance with that.
Next, I have a last one. Do you have a trial product to understand before making any decision? So maybe Roy, you could take this one.
Yes, absolutely. There can be trial product made available depending on what you are looking at. So we need to understand what is your current challenges, what is the business scenario you are trying to resolve. And we will try to understand whether that business scenario or that challenges can be resolved by ThoughtSpot. If it is yes, if there's a match, definitely we'll help you to evaluate and do a trial. Absolutely sure. To ensure that when you are doing the investment, you are absolutely sure that you are doing the right investment.
Okay, so it keeps coming. Another one, does ThoughtSpot have the functionality to do customized traditional or fixed dashboarding if we have certain views or KPIs that we always want to monitor? It's a technical one.
Yes, so there was another question there as well around auto scheduling dashboards to emails. So, you know, ThoughtSpot is not a dashboarding solution, but you can build dashboards with ThoughtSpot, right? So that, you know, that pinboard that Prasad showed through the demonstration, you can build those. You have control over the formatting of those, so you can get those as you look. It's not going to be the same capabilities or same level of capabilities you might have in other products, but if you just want a simple dashboard to send out to people, that can be done. And yes, there is built-in scheduling capabilities for that as well if you want to send it via email. But another point on that is that typically the reason people want to send via email as PDF is to reduce licensing costs because they don't want to have, you know, they don't want to pay for more users. With ThoughtSpot, you don't have that issue. People can come into the platform, people can use it. You don't have to send out stuff as PDF just because or to save licensing costs.
Another one is, do we have options to auto schedule publishing dashboard over email to select users?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a limitation in terms of the database types that it can connect with?
So, you know, as Roy mentioned, we have these two different ways of working. We can connect directly to a system where we don't have to move the data, in which case, you know, right now we support, I think, 6 different databases for that, which is Snowflake, Redshift, Google BigQuery, Azure Synapse, Teradata, and SAP HANA. And that's specifically because they're very high performance databases. For anything else where we bring it into the ThoughtSpot engine, then we can connect to any data source for that.
Okay. There's a repeat question. I think, what is the licensing model? I think we've already answered that. Should we do it again? What is the licensing model? There's another question on that.
Yeah, so it's primarily the licensing is based on data volume. There are unlimited users. There is no user license as such.
There's a leading question from the multiple data points one. There's can this also generate a live link that can be used to publish it to other platforms like another website or a Google site?
Yeah.
Typically, if we, sorry.
Cool. Yeah, so with ThoughtSpot, we do have APIs and embeddability, so you can take this and embed components from ThoughtSpot in other websites in a simple manner.
It's great to see so many questions. This is so many of them still coming in. How does ThoughtSpot handle data if there are incremental modifications?
Sure. So again, ThoughtSpot is really designed for this. So if we're connecting out to external data, then obviously that's handled there. But if we're bringing data into ThoughtSpot, then based on the primary keys that are defined on the table, ThoughtSpot will automatically do upserts of the data, which means that if the data is changed, it will change it. If the data is new, it will insert it into the database. So all you have to do is send the data that's changed between the last period it was loaded and the current time, and it will automatically handle those incremental modifications.
Okay. Great. I don't see any new. Okay. Any new? So we'll just give one more minute because I think all the speakers have done a great job. There's so many questions pouring in. Okay, there it goes. Are there any insurance companies using this product?
Yes, we have a lot of insurance companies and financial services in general globally. So in the region here, Suncorp is one of our largest customers. They're specifically using it for insurance claims analysis. They're using it in a variety of different use cases across their business. Globally, we have a lot of other insurers as well that we can share the details on.
Actually, there are, we have very strong success with insurance company. There is one of the CIO of a large insurance company from Japan came to Singapore for one particular event and told in an event that he's going to replace one of the traditional BI with ThoughtSpot completely. So you need more details, please reach out to any one of us and then we will provide you more details on insurance. Use cases, where it has been installed, where it has been implemented, what are the success they have seen, how they have reduced the cost and increased their efficiency. Tremendous success stories they have available there.
Okay, so that's about it. Thank you so much. It was awesome to see so many questions coming from the audience. And if you want to have further discussion, our contact coordinates are there on the screen for you to reach out to us, both in Singapore and India. We would love to hear from you. And once again, thank you very much, Roy, James, and Prasad for doing a fabulous job on presenting and showcasing how powerful ThoughtSpot is and how it is a thought leader in its own space. To all the audience, thank you so much for being so engaging, and we look forward to having you for all our other webinars. The upcoming ones will keep you posted. As I had mentioned earlier, this session is recorded and the recording would be shared with you later sometime. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us.
Great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, Vinita.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James and Prasad. Thank you.